And blessed to be a part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning with our own Tom Selleck. Dave Petso is with us. Dave Petso, the Petso Center, Petso Financial, on Facebook, on Twitter. You ever been called Tom Selleck? You're kind of like Tom Selleck.
Oh, yeah, I'm a lot like him. Yeah. Just like Magnum P.I., flying, hanging from helicopters, all that, yeah.
Yeah. And you're, what is it?
That's my alter
Ferrari?
ego. Yeah, exactly.
No, I can see that. I'm sure a lot of people could see you as Magnum P.I.
Right. Sure.
Our version of it. Dave Petso joining us here.
Idaho would not be safe.
I don't know about that. Well, hey, thank you, by the way, for filling in last week. We appreciate it. How'd you like it?
It was good.
Yeah.
I think it went really well. I do. You'll have to ask Ray, but I think it was smooth. The 3 hours went by fast.
So that's how you felt?
That's how I felt.
Oh.
I mean, if I had to do it every day, yeah. Now, the feedback was good, and I thought it was fun. It's always a challenge, Kevin. It's a challenge to do it, because you have to think about doing something and talking and engaging with people for 3 hours. You have to have a plan.
Right.
You can't just wing it, And every day you got to come up with a whole new slate. I mean, I pop in and do it once. It takes me a while to get ready, and you have to do it every single day. I get it. It's not an easy task.
Well, I'll have to remember you the next time I'm renegotiating my contract here. I'll have to bring you in.
That's it.
They just think we just press the button and it goes.
And it goes. Yes. And people call in, and it's exciting, and it's wonderful. No, it's not.
Well,
it doesn't work quite like that.
Well, thank you very much for doing that. Appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Thanks for giving me the honor to do it.
Oh, no. The honor is ours for having you here. So we're going to start with an open-ended question here.
Oh, boy.
What's going on with money?
What's going on?
Okay,
that is very open-ended.
Very open-ended right now.
All right, so here's the gist of it, if you will. Right now, we're just finishing up the earnings season, and they crushed it. Corporations absolutely crushed earnings, and we're still worried about tariffs. So, in short, we're worried about tariffs. The rest of the world slowing down a little bit. The U.S. is picking up, but we're in a perfect situation now. Corporate profits are great. Now, the news is always bad, Kevin. We talk about that all the time. But this helps people, I think, understand that when we see corporate profits doing well, that's really all you need to know. Because when you buy stocks, you're buying ownership in those companies. They've been knocking the cover off the ball, and that's really what we need to focus on, not the day-to-day noise about tariffs or not tariffs. Those are just movements for traders. For investors, the bottom line is corporations are crushing it. Buy stocks. They're not too expensive.
Well, that's reassuring, though on the other hand, we still have concerns about China, concerns about India, concerns about Russia. Mm-hmm. Let's start with Russia. Do people, and we talked a little bit about this before, there seems to be a growing international sense, people investing in China and India. You're very high on India. Mm-hmm. But Russia, people are trepid despite a lot of natural resources, despite they're not Western, but they are semi-European.
Yeah, they like money, too.
Right.
Yeah, and although they have a different way of operating outside the law to get their money. And so it is very difficult to invest in Russia. It always has been. And I think that when we're talking about going to emerging markets, especially, it's okay to invest foreign across Europe. They have rule of law. But I've always found in my history that it's really important not to focus on the immediate good news in these countries, but to always take a look at what the rule of law is. Is there a lot of corruption? Is there basically a democracy there? Because if there's not, then eventually they will steal your money. And what I mean by that is the state-owned companies will figure out a way, or a political enemy happens to own one of the companies or have an interest in it, and then they go away. And that's constantly what's going on in Europe. So capital flight out of Europe, out of Russia, has been very high, continues to be high, and we're just seeing with Donald Trump, which I know actually this is some kind of a front for he and Putin. They're really close pals, but it's no president's ever been tougher on Russia than Trump is by a long ways, and they are really feeling the impact of this, and they are not happy about it at all. So you're seeing that it's slowing down the economy. So again, investing in Russia last week was like stepping on a landmine. I think their currency fell 10% last week alone. So it's a tough thing. You got to be careful in these emerging markets.
Let's talk a little bit about one of your favorite places to go, and that is Costco.
Okay. Well, it has been a while, but yes, I do like Costco.
Glad you put that
disclaimer.
Qualifier on there.
Yeah.
So, but let me rephrase that. And by the way, if you have a question about money, 580-5436. 580-KIDO. Dave Petzo with us, Petzo Financial, the Petzo Center, located in beautiful downtown Boise, Idaho, home of lower taxes and the business-friendly environment purported by Mayor Beater. Those are my words, not yours. So, Dave, let's take a look at Costco and Meridian. There seems to be a continued controversy over building this Costco over in Chinden, Linder, 10 Mile, out there with those folks, out there in Kevin Miller country.
That's right.
Okay?
That's right. That's right. Mm-hmm.
Out there in the
hinterlands.
Yes, the 83646 zip code. Okay?
Oh.
Yes, and the 83669 zip code. Okay, those are Kevin Miller zips.
Okay.
So, Costco now is inviting neighbors to come by and comment on this. Really, Chinden, like many roads in the Treasure Valley, it's a mess.
Yep.
It's going to be a bigger mess. Look at what St. Luke's, God bless them, the largest employer, private employer in the state. Wonderful people, great to work for. But look at the mess that they've created downtown with all their building.
Yes.
So we have Costco going in, which would be great, except if you work for Walmart or Fred Meyer. However, you're talking about massive amounts of people coming in, swarming in, with an infrastructure that can't handle what's going on right now.
Correct. It can't. And you're right. It's just one of those things that's going to continue. And I know that Mayor Tammy has been trying to expand Chinden, but it's a state highway, so that they can't do that out there. They have no jurisdiction. So we have to wait for the state to get around to spending the money or allocating the money to do it. I'm sure there'll be a whole lot of impact fees that Costco will pay to expand the road around their facility. But, if I lived next to it, I wouldn't want them to be there. But at the same time, the reality is it's coming, and it was always on the drawing board. And if you bought a house there, then you expected to have a Costco there or something there at some point in time, because it is a major, major thoroughfare and sought after by business, as well as the people that want to go there and utilize it. So, Kevin, I think it's going to happen, and it's just right now we're experiencing growing pains in various areas, and Chinden Road is one of them.
Right, but on one hand, you have Costco that wants to come in. On the other hand, you talk about safety. People talk about that highway of death to McCall. If one of these roads goes down, coming back from the Oregon coast a couple days ago, they had to shut the highway down to one lane because of the fires.
Right.
And I'm sitting there stuck in traffic with Mrs. Miller, and I'm watching the helicopters going over, splashing the water a mere 100 feet from the highway. So, again, shouldn't somebody just say, whether it's ACHD, whether it's Ada County, whether it's the state saying, you might have to hold off for a while. Because, again, the infrastructure can't take it.
Right.
I mean, is it time to say no to some of this? And you see this new development going up again, and the roads just can't handle it.
Well, I agree with you, Kevin. I think it is time to take a pause on some of these areas that have gotten to be too busy. I mean, you think of what happened to the corridor out in the Caldwell area all the way out to Marsing, and how that's been under construction for years now. And you talk about a dangerous road, people zipping across a highway where people are going 60 miles an hour and trying to squeeze between cars. It's a dangerous situation, and I agree with you. There are just different choke points that need to be slowed down. The problem is when we give approval to these companies and then you want to take it back, it does seem to it causes that they make plans, they come here, they spend money. Should we give the money back?
Well, it seemed that the residents of Meridian, especially in that area, voted against it, and were protesting. And they had 3 or 4 hearings, and then finally the city council got it through. But again, you have to take a look at just the roads and just the permanent traffic. Now, you don't go out that way much, do you?
I try not to.
Okay,
that's a very intensive traffic area. You're right.
But you even take a look at the connector from about 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock.
Yeah.
It reminds me of, what you hear about in Seattle, a place you're familiar with.
I am.
Traffic bumper to bumper.
Don't let it remind you of that. It's not anywhere near that bad.
Right. But you look at this and, from the time you get on till maybe you hit Eagle Road, it's bumper to bumper.
Yeah, it
and
is. What
happened to the Treasure Valley? So you've got, who's in charge of this? I mean, we could sit there and go, well, it's this person, that person. I'm putting you on the spot here.
Yeah.
But What are we going to do? Form a task force? No, we just need to get this done, right?
Right, and to a degree we do, but there's not much you can do. You can't build a road that's going to handle. It's going to be big enough to handle the crush when there is, rush hour, if you will. You just can't. There's always going to be that. We're very fortunate to have an east-west corridor as well done as our interstate and connector is. But we have got nothing going north-south, and that's always been a problem in this valley. As far as the infrastructure goes, Kevin, it's very difficult when you tell businesses they can come in and then you try to pull it back. I wish they had and said we need some more time, we need to widen the roads. I think that's a good call. And we can blame people from California. You can actually blame the politicians in California for driving everybody out. And we just ask the Californians, because we're very nice people, to not bring your politics here. That's why you left. Don't come here and expect to start over. But we are seeing such an influx of people, and you can't stop it. And you can't even be angry about it, Kevin. It's one of those things that just happens in an area that is got a first world problem.
You're giving
we
up?
have growth problems.
I say build a wall.
Yeah, I'm
like the president.
I saw a picture of that. Build a wall and put it between us and California.
I'd build a wall, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
The first thing I'd say is
How about an immigration tax?
Well, I think that it's insulting, and you could say I'm overly sensitive, that you have people that come here from California that keep their plates. I have moved in my life 6 or 7 times as an adult. The first thing I do, out of respect to the state I'm living in, is get rid of the plates that I was living in the past. Embrace it, blah, blah, blah. But these folks from California, some of them, they just want to continue to live the California dream in Idaho and bring their liberal lunacy to the gem state.
They do.
Coming up next, we're going to talk a little bit about, well, not Medicaid expansion, but about the governor's race. And how about this? Your health insurance went up again.
No, stop. It really?
Yes.
That's a shocker.
Yes. We'll talk about the high cost of health insurance here in the Gem State. Your call is always welcome, 580-5436. Kevin Miller, Dave Petzo, KIDO Talk Radio. All right, Dave Petzo, now you being the astute Dave Petzo that you are, you said, did I really go on vacation?
Yes.
I did. I went to a lovely place called Surf Tides in Lincoln City, and it was wonderful. Of course, I believe people were smoking pot on the beach, and I
would bet my life on it.
Was not happy about that. And let's talk a little bit about that. The overall influence. We have a lot of people, and I don't know if they've hit you with it, talking about the economic benefits of shunning federal law and joining the lawbreakers in Oregon, Colorado, Washington, California in legalizing recreational marijuana.
Yep.
You're a money guy. Does that make sense, money-wise?
No, it isn't. Actually, and Colorado's not finding that to be true at all. We think that again, this is the way people think. If they want something, maybe thinking people don't think this way. But the reality is when you ask or allow something like that in, you have societal issues. Whether it's gambling, we're going to pick up a lot of revenue from gambling. You're also going to pick up a lot of problems, and then society has to take care of those problems. And so what do you net? Is it positive or negative? Well, Colorado's finding awful lot of negatives, and it's awful hard when you have people driving around intoxicated. That's difficult to measure because they're obviously high, but you can't really prove how high. And so they're trying to figure out how to have. You can't do a breathalyzer test. I mean, there's a lot of different issues that have come up. And emergency room visits going up, all those things that are really say, do we really make millions of dollars taxing this stuff, or overall is there a net negative effect? And a lot of studies are being done now. I think my biggest problem is this. Again, being personal about this. I grew up in a time where drugs were very, very prevalent. I grew up in the yes, and it was very prevalent, and nobody did anything about it. And so it was a big party atmosphere for kids. I watched 2 of my friends go on to much harder drugs and die. And so when people say it's not a gateway drug, that's crazy. It is. It's no different than kids that have beer and then they develop alcohol problems and then move on to other things. It's not opioids or what have you to be feeling better. All things potentially are a gateway drug. We don't seem to do anything about it with kids, and that bothers me. And studies show that that their brains are not developed, and they really should not be smoking pot, and they do it regularly, and we don't do anything about it. They occasionally run a dog through a parking lot at a high school, tell a kid they have to go home for a day, and they're back the next day. And we really don't seem to crack down. And so my concern is by making it legal, are we now saying we give up and we're not even going to try to stop kids prior to 21? I don't particularly care if adults are and they're home and it's safe and all that good stuff, but it does bother me that we don't have basically a task force getting after these kids and teaching them that this is not a life there. And let's not pretend that we're going to make money as a society by legalizing anything that is harmful to human beings and their thought process.
More on that in a minute. First, traffic and weather together. Thank you, Larry. Dave Petzo with us. Kevin Miller here at KIDO Talk Radio. It's interesting, though, you hear the arguments from the pro-pot people that, hey, look at how much money we're making. But as you point out, you've got the infrastructures. Then, from what I understand in Colorado and other places, you've got the stinky pot-smoking people stinking up the parks and the public places.
Yeah, it's there's no. Well, hey, let's face it. I was floating the river last week, and we smelled so much pot on the river from the banks and all as we went through, BSU, but not just there. It was on up. It's just not. And I get it, but adults are going to do what adults do. But
I would have called the cops. If people would deputize me, I'd be the marijuana police.
Would you be the marijuana police? And I think that there are some tremendous medicinal reasons that pot ought to be legalized in a sense for medical. But if we're going to say, let's go with the pro pot. If you're going to say that this is a wonderful, great drug, and it is for many people, I think epileptic seizures, things like that have shown amazing results. I mean, it's just amazing results. Then let's run them through serious trials like any drug. As anybody will tell you, herbs, it's not just natural. Herbs have real consequences to them, and they mix with drugs. Let's find out what the long-term effects are for pot. Let's find not just what we all think they are, how about what they are.
Then they put it in your food.
And then they put it in your food.
I was a little worried if I had a pizza there, it wasn't oregano on there, that it might be...
I'm guessing you could order a marijuana pizza there.
Yeah, so I didn't order pizza.
Yeah. Well, well, that's a good, healthy choice, Kevin. I think that's very positive.
It was.
You need to go back to pot country then, where you are concerned. It helps your diet.
Yes, thank you. But it's fascinating, though, the pro-marijuana people. Let's move along to health care.
Yep.
And last week, Idaho health insurers raised rates 27% this year. Next year, only 8%. What is going on? Is this a cartel?
Yeah.
What is this with the, rates are going up, services going down, cheap Charlies when it comes to big pharma, and these big medical conglomerates? What's the deal?
Well, it's always easy. It's always best to pick on something like an insurance company, not the nameless, faceless bureaucrats that pass rules that we all have to comply with. And this is all from Obamacare. As we know, insurance rates were going to go down. That was the big lie. Now that they've gone up, we have to blame somebody else, especially if you are, it just doesn't fit the narrative that Obama was going to save health care. And remember, it's still a good idea. Any failed government program that doesn't work, we don't fix it or change it or get rid of it. We simply need more money. That's really always the solution for government. And that's where we're at right now with this. The laws are out of control. It has forced testing that shouldn't be done. It forces costs on the system that shouldn't be there, the individuals need to take care of. And when we don't, and we're forced into all the record keeping they do now, the bureaucratic red tape is through the roof. Insurance companies are, look, if it was such a lucrative business, I think insurance companies would be lining up to say, hey, we're getting into the insurance business, not we're getting out of the insurance business.
Right, and they cite drug costs and everything else, blah, blah, blah. Let's leave you with this one.
Okay.
From the Idaho Press. Are you familiar with that?
The Idaho Press. I think that's you.
This is the used to be the Press Tribune.
Oh, yes, okay.
Now they're the Idaho Press.
Oh, I just don't keep up with the Times. Yes, I am very familiar with them. Yes.
And they've bought the Boise Weekly. They've bought all these publications.
They bought the Boise Weekly?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a cultural clash.
Well, I don't know. So they've got this new one, according to a press release, Medicaid expansion is likely blazing a trail for gubernatorial hope for Paulette Jordan. They say that according to this press release from Clarity Campaign Labs, Brad Little's lead against her has shrunk to 8%. Now, you know Brad Little, you know Governor Otter. I mean, really.
I know. Grasping at straws. That's what I would call it.
Right. Paulette Jordan that is on all the national press but refuses to do local media.
Right.
I mean, this has got to be the biggest charade I've ever seen in my life, that Brad Little, who went through a tough, rambunctious, competitive GOP primary.
Very tough.
Right. Is going to, is only winning by 8%.
Right. Yeah, I don't think so. And Paulette, it's the best thing that ever happened to her. She's, checks all the right boxes,
Sure.
and now she's making a big name for herself. She'll probably get some kind of a, speaking contracts or what have you. It doesn't matter if she's governor. I don't think she has any real desire to be governor.
But could you ever see?
Yeah.
One day she's from North Idaho. The next minute she's got an apartment on the North End.
Yep.
She's a hunter, but she's against the guns. I mean, there's no consistency here.
Correct.
I mean, Brad Little, only up by 8%. This has got to be some skewed thing.
Well,
this election will not even be competitive, or will it?
I don't think it will be, but Kevin, we're also in that dead time where people don't care. And pollsters call up, you get whatever polls you want. I always think that, when we look back and we say the polls, we act like there's some kind of accuracy to something, especially in a dead period. And we've just been through the 2016 election, not just presidential, but how bad.
I will say this in the primary, Brad Little's polls were pretty good.
Yeah.
Much to the chagrin of the other folks. His polls were very good.
They were, and also Brad Little had a machine operating there. Yeah. He had and that's the Republican Party. That's what it's not. It's any party. When you are the insider, it's tough to beat. Ask Bernie Sanders.
Well, ask Raul Labrador or Tommy Alquist.
Correct, on a local basis.
Your good friend Tommy.
I think that
said he had to work on you. I still remember that. That showdown primary night.
That's right. I still remember that too. And I was looking forward to working with him if he was going to be. Absolutely. If he was going to be the governor, then absolutely.
I was ready to work for him too.
I thought we had three solid candidates. I really did. I really did.
I would agree.
I really did. Yeah. I just anyway. I thought it was amazingly tough, brutal, and very good. I didn't think you could point at any of them and go, that person really doesn't want it.
I can't see Paulette Jordan winning though.
I can't either. No. I don't think it's going to be close, Kevin. I'm with you on that. Not going to be close.
Dave Petzo with me. All right.
Well,
I'll leave it at that one.
Yeah, no, I just think it's right. I think you're. I love the vacationing Kevin Miller. You're just kind
very different. Yes.
Yeah, you're really kind of kicked back here.
Right.
Yeah.
Dave Petzo, anything we should be looking out for in the dead time?
I think this is a dead time. It is a summer lull. We're getting out of earnings season. Right now, all the news is going to be filled with is the tariffs, and that's going to take time. So I would just kind of ignore the news right now. We're in a lull, and
ignore this show.
Yeah,
ignore everything.
Just tune in. Kevin can tell you about how to relax on the beach.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there's not a lot out there, but we'll get stuff. And stuff will come out of the blue. The turkey situation has been a surprise.
Right.
It's been a shock.
He's in trouble.
He is in real trouble now. He overplayed his hand. Isn't that what happens when you get too arrogant?
I've lived that life. So Dave Petzo, thank you, sir.
Great to be here, Kevin.
Great to have you, Kevin Miller, KIDO Talk Radio. Good morning, Doug.
Good morning, Kevin.
KIDO Talk Radio. Kevin Miller in the morning. And we go to Katie from Legalized Idaho on 580 AM and 107.5 FM. Katie, good morning.
Good morning, Kevin. How are you?
I am wonderful. I'm back from vacation and was over in that state where they have the legalized weed, and glad to be back in law-abiding Idaho. And you, Katie?
Oh, good. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad you had a good vacation. Where did you go?
I went to Lincoln City, Oregon.
Okay.
Yep.
In Oregon?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, that's kind of a nostalgic little town there. And so I missed what you guys were saying as far about cannabis earlier. But I take it that you're not for becoming Lincoln City.
I am not down with the legalization of the weed, Katie.
Okay. Well, I am glad that you're open and honest about your feelings. I don't know how you would feel about decriminalization. Legalizing and decriminalizing are completely different because, I mean, you can't deny what the CBD stuff is doing, and you can't deny, the stuff that it's doing for the kids with epilepsy and stuff like that. So don't you think that with Idaho maybe just kind of relaxing some of the possession laws a little bit and focusing on, we do have a really bad opioid epidemic and things like that. So I'm just wondering if cannabis needs to continue to be such a big citation issue.
Oh, I agree with the federal government. The supremacy clause. I think it. I think it all should be illegal.
Yeah,
I do. And there are people that have spoken at length about the benefits of medical marijuana, and I would not disagree with them. The challenge for me, Katie, is that medical marijuana leads the way to recreational marijuana, and I believe in Oregon they're having trouble because so many people are buying the recreational. It's putting a stress on the medical. You would be more of an expert on that than I would.
Right. Well, isn't that kind of the same argument that the liberals use with guns? Like we shouldn't have guns because bad people do bad things. It's not the tool. It's not the cannabis. I mean, if medical marijuana works for people, they should have access to it. As far as criminal activity needs to be prosecuted as criminal activity. Yeah.
How do you stop? How do you stop the people though that doctor shop that And we've seen this in California and other states.
Opioids are perfectly legal, and that's happening. So,
sure. So if we're having trouble with opioids and alcohol, why do we add one more gateway drug to the mix?
Well, I'm not talking about adding a gateway drug to the mix. I'm talking about people who are suffering from severe illnesses and who don't want to go down a path of pharmaceuticals and who want to take a more natural route and be a little bit more free. We have faith healing here in Idaho, so I can pray a child's seizures away, but I can't use CBD oil for them. And with Epidiolex, the FDA and the pharmaceutical industry, if you're all for that, then we would still have smallpox because smallpox was eradicated not because of the FDA. Smallpox was eradicated before the FDA existed. So I'm wondering why everybody needs Uncle Sam to pat their back and powder their tushy before they do this.
Well, because you have to have some type of regulations. You can't just throw things on the market.
Well, but you can't just throw sick people in jail. Do I belong in prison? Do I?
I don't know. Are you smoking weed?
I have a disease that's eating the left half of my head, and it's going to kill me. So I'm utilizing cannabis, and I'm open about it, completely open about it. And I live in Emmett, Idaho, and I'm not moving.
Well,
Abraham Lincoln said
I guess you and I are going to have to agree to disagree on this.
I appreciate that. I appreciate agreeing to disagree as long as, you're not violating my constitutional rights as well. Because I still have the Fourth Amendment and I still have the Declaration of Independence and you have your rights as well. But they say, you're not free until your neighbor is free as well. And that's what really makes a free country in my eyes.
So let's say that we had more liberal use of marijuana. Let's say I'm in my neighborhood, hanging out, minding my own business, and next door I've got pot smoking Joe stinking up the joint. Are they infringing on my? Are they? Are they infringing on? I've lived in that neighborhood for 5 years. Why should I have to move because pot smoking Joe is stinking up the joint, or pot smoking Joe is stinking up the parks for the kids?
Against, like, my neighbors can't burn plastic. I can't go burning something that is going to smell up my whole neighborhood. There would be regulations against, smoking outside. Or exactly where you could be, because there already is.
Katie, you heard Dave Petso. He was in the Boise River, and it's illegal here in the Treasure Valley, and you got dope smokers smoking along the river.
Well, yeah,
stinking it up.
So I have to suffer and die because you've got dope smokers along the river.
It doesn't sound like you're suffering. You're taking care of you're taking care of yourself without suffering, apparently.
Yes, I am taking care of myself because
so you're not suffering. You're dealing with your pain.
Exactly.
No one's prosecuting you.
Exactly, and that's what I really want to push for Idaho. I don't want Idaho to become Lincoln City, not in any way, shape, or form. Idaho is beautiful just as she is, but I think we can definitely do something for the people who are suffering and are just caught in this stigma. And whether that be decriminalize some possession or allow that, they did the Right to Try Act, maybe expanding on that a little bit. There's a lot of things Idaho can do without becoming Colorado, without becoming Washington, without becoming Oregon. Idaho really can pioneer this in a very tactful way for the rest of the country. They just have to do it.
Katie?
Yes.
I appreciate your passion, and thank you. Now, you're part of this group, Legalize Idaho?
Yes.
Well, drop me an email, and maybe we can have a show together with you and some of your other cohorts. I like it when we have people on that I don't agree with.
I would love it, and I love that you're respectfully disagreeing. I was listening to your Brad Little and Paulette Jordan 8% thing, and I just wanted to add, I'm voting for Brad Little, by the way. But Paulette Jordan, I believe her county in the primaries voted against her. And I'm not, don't quote me on that,
right.
But
that's funny.
I'd have to double check. But I think the county, her county, wasn't for her. And to me, that's just kind of a red flag. So, even though Brad Little's not for everything I'm about, he also, I'm not in jail, and that really says a lot.
Yeah,
so
you would have had better luck with Dr. Ahlquist or Congressman Labrador on this issue.
Yeah, and I really, all three of them. I can't say anything bad about all three of the candidates. They all had really great qualities, and I want to work with whoever gets into office just about people who are sick and don't know what's happening, that just we don't have to be afraid of police officers.
Katie, please drop me an email, and we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. 580-5436, 580-KIDO. Coming up next, Max, and then it's Liberty Lindick. Blessed to be part of your day. Kevin Miller in the morning, KIDO Talk Radio. Max, thank you for your patience. Good morning.
Good morning and welcome from your vacation. Welcome back to the United States of America.
Good to be home.
Hey, listen, I have not an unusual view, but a different view on this medical marijuana thing. Now, as a doctor, I've had a lot of people say to me, I could use marijuana and it would make me feel less pain or make me better. But you know what? I haven't read a single study, bona fide study, in any journal that says that medical marijuana has any advantages over currently available medications. So, okay, this marijuana eases glaucoma, or it makes the pain less in your back. There are other readily available medications that do the same thing, that don't have any more side effect than marijuana. However, I am in favor of at least decriminalizing it. We've got a jail crowding problem. Gee, guess why? We had one during the Prohibition as well. And this war on drugs is even less successful than the Prohibition. If we can't fully enforce the law, which we can't, because we're still a relatively free people, then we need to change the law or abolish the law. People like Jeff Sessions with this reefer madness mentality are not doing us any good. I don't smoke. My kids don't smoke. I don't drink alcohol either, so I'm sort of in the middle. But looking at it objectively, from a medical point of view, there's no reason not to at least decriminalize it. What do you say, Kevin?
I go back to federal law.
Does that make it right?
And I'm with the Attorney General.
The Prohibition was federal law, and the Attorney General was a reefer madness guy from the 60s.
Come on. I think I'm not down with it at all. I see that states that have legalized it, they've got more problems as we predicted, and we need to hold the line here in Idaho. And I'm urging the President and the Attorney General, Max, to go into those states and arrest all those people and haul them away, give them a haircut, a flea dip, detoxify them, and put them back on the road.
If the feds were to reach into a state, countering the state's laws, I would hope somebody would have the guts to apply state power against the federal government through the courts or physically.
But that doesn't. You can't be selective.
But
you can't be selective anymore. Remember the argument with marriage. Idaho wanted to have marriage between a man and a woman. No, you can't do that. Oh, okay.
And that was overreach. The feds had no right to reach in there.
But if you can do that for marriage, then you should be uniform.
Does that make it right?
The Supreme Court said it was right.
Well, I'll tell you what, sir. The Supreme Court also said that Roe versus Wade was right. They said that murdering infants in the womb was good. But understand, there is a moral law that transcends anything the Supreme Court or Washington, D.C. decides to abrogate. There is a moral law that is higher, that is stronger, that transcends federal law. Do you agree or disagree? Or are you it's a law. I follow Washington.
Moral law is not recognized on the books.
Book schmutz. When this happened to us last time...
Aren't you an author? What do you mean book schmutz?
Yeah, I've written book. What I'm saying is, the last time it got this bad, a small percentage of us drove King George's troops back into the ocean and freed our country.
Well, they weren't smoking marijuana.
No, they were doing even less. If the feds reach too hard, too
you
far,
talk about people motivated. You've been around people on marijuana; they're non-motivated.
I've been around drunks; they're not motivated either.
We're not talking about drunks.
Sure, we are.
You have a cup of coffee,
alcohol, marijuana,
some tomato juice. You sober up.
Marijuana, you sober up.
I don't know about that. I've never met a person that smokes dope that has been motivated in my life.
Have you ever even physically touched a joint in your life? Or are you speaking from a bubble? I
have touched a joint once in my life.
Then you're speaking from a bubble.
And I can tell you that whole experience. It was in 7th or 8th grade, and I'm not
everybody
was
names,
having a drag, and I didn't inhale.
You need to broaden your base, Kevin. I'm not saying go smoke it, but you need to broaden your base.
I get that a lot.
Because you and Jeff Sessions are part of the reefer madness mentality, buddy.
Thank you, Max. I get that a lot. Good morning, Dave. And Kevin Miller in the morning. Coming up next, more of your calls about the issues that matter to you and our great friend Lars Larson. He returns from vacation as well, but can't wait to hear what y'all have to say. Live local talk about the issues that matter to you, Treasure Valley. With me, Kevin Miller, 580 AM, 107.5 FM, KIDO Talk Radio, your home for Fox News. Good morning.